నా మ్యూట్ తీసేసాను. లైట్ వస్తుందా?
సార్ గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ వీసీ గారు.
గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ అండి రిషర్ గారు.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm ready to start the session, sir, with your permission.
Yeah.
Very good morning to you all. I am Dr. Hira Bhattu, convener of this webinar session. I hope I visually and orally good for starting the session.
You're
Yes.
okay, go ahead.
Yes. It's my honor and pleasure to welcome all the dignitaries, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, Registrar, sir, Executive Council members, principals of various departments of our university and affiliated colleges, professors, research scholars, and the delegates all over the India participating through web of one-day webinar session on the theme Pharmaceutical Scenario on COVID-19 era. I trust and pray that all is fine with you and your family members due to this difficult situation as the pandemic is peaking around our nation. Anyways, we are happy and delighted in organizing this event and also privileged to have the expert and eminent speakers, Professor Guru Prasad Mohanta Garu, former National Technical Officer, WHO Country Office for India, and former professor and head of the Annamalai University. And Dr. Parimal Krishnan, Associate Professor, Department of Pharmacy, Annamalai University, Chidambaram. Our next speaker, and Dr. Krishna Undela, Lecturer, Department of Pharmacy Practice, JSS, Mysuru, who have vast experience in their specialty and to share their experiences during this COVID-19 pandemic. We are very thankful to have you, even at midst of your busy schedule, sir. And I sincerely hope that all the people who joined on this platform, virtual platform, will benefit from their expertise. And I profusely thank the leadership of our Vice Chancellor of our university, Professor Mokka Jagannatharao Garu, and Registrar Bhattu Gangarao Garu for their constant encouragement and support in organizing this webinar. College of Pharmaceutical Sciences is a newly established college which is still in budding stage, sir, but yet with your support and perseverance, we sincerely strive to flourish more colors to our department. I congratulate and applaud the faculty members who conducted webinars from various departments of our university during this pandemic with the theme COVID-19. And this webinar is such initiatives to address the challenges faced by the practices of pharmacists during this pandemic. As the whole world is facing a most challenging health crisis of COVID-19, the healthcare professionals are taking maximum burden in overcoming this pandemic situation by providing healthcare services all the time. They remain on the front line of public health by serving as a direct point of access for the patient. We pharmacists are no exception to that, and globally they're providing patient care pharmacy services at this pandemic with the continuous changes of COVID-19 situation. Pharmacists are learning to change and adopt more quickly, like they created an environment and new measures in implementing to provide better access to patient care services. They were educating the patients and public on effective strategies to prevent acquisition and further spread of the infection. In this context, we strive to make this webinar experience as enjoyable and informative to all. And now it's my privilege and pleasure indeed to introduce a brief biosketch of our today's chief guest, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Adikavi Nanna University, Rajamahendravaram, Professor Mogga Jagannatharam Garu. He's an adorable personality and distinguished himself as an academic achiever and have been instrumental in cheering university and affiliated colleges towards academic and research excellence. He has carried out his education in India and abroad. He acquired Masters in Engineering stream from University of Alaska, USA. He is a doctorate holder from Andhra University, Visakhapatnam, India, 1985. And also he was the successor of UPS examination Group B services examinations in 1985 and also attained All India 11th rank in UPSC Geologist exam in 1983. Despite of all his success in UPSC services and groups, but his passion towards teaching made him to join as assistant professor in Department of Geology, Andhra University in 1986. And later he served as a professor and head of the department. He brings to the university his 33 years of experience in both teaching and research. He has published nearly 150 national and international journals and filed a patent recently entitled An Inventive Model that explains the genesis of Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea, which is under consideration. Under his esteemed guidance, 33 research scholars have also a degree of Doctor of Philosophy, but not only in the stream of geology, but also in various disciplines of computer science, geoengineering, geophysics, and elite physics. He is an editorial board member of Indian Journal of Environment and Eco-Planning, and also member of various crucial scientific bodies of national and international repute. He has a strong collaboration with various organizations in Canada, USA, and Australia. He had completed 8 funded projects from leading funding agencies of DST, UGC, DOD, APMDC, that is Andhra Pradesh Mineral Development Corporation, DMRTUF, ISRO, ONGC, and MOES. He got huge consultancy projects from ONGC, that is Halocene evaluation of Mahanandi Delta, studies of land substance due to hydrocarbon exploration at KG-PG basin of AP using remote sensing and field studies. He holds a prestigious Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan Award at Best Academician Award in the year 2018 by Andhra University, and also honored with the Best Scientist of the Year 2017 by National Environmental Science Academy, New Delhi. Along with his brilliant academic and research excellence, he had a vast experience in administration too. He served as a Director for Information Management Center, Andhra University, Dean for PG and Professional Examination, Andhra University, Director for Student International Affairs, Andhra University, Director for Delta Studies Institute, Andhra University, Head of the Department for Geology, Andhra University, and not only that, Chairman of Board of Studies, Department of Geosciences in Ambedkar University, Srikakulam. He is an accessor and member in various selection committees at national and state level. And his vision to see that Adikavi Nanna University should be the international institute for choice for education, research, training, and consultancy. Finally, sir, we admired and fortunate to work under your administration. And now I request sir to give the inaugural address. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Hira Battu, for your kind words of introduction. And today I'm extremely happy to have our registrar, Professor V. Gangarao, Executive Council members, Professor Ramesh, Professor Dr. Jagan Mohan Reddy, Professor Ashok, and other deans, principals of Adikavi, Nanda University campus colleges. Today, the webinar entitled Pharmaceutical Scenario in COVID-19 has
Sir,
been,
you please address Guru Prasad Mahanta, sir. The keynote address.
sir. Yeah. I'll be addressing. And I'm extremely happy that we have keynote speakers, Professor Guru Prasad Mahanta, former National Technical Officer, WHO, Country Office for India, former professor and head Annamalai University, Chidambaram. And we have two speakers, Dr. S. Paramala Krishnan and Dr. Krishna Undela. So this is one of the most appropriate topics, the pharmaceutical scenario in COVID-19. We are all now in the panic situation of this COVID-19. We are totally confined to mainly to our homes because of the fear of the spread of COVID-19. And every day we are seeing that thousands of people are being infected with this virus. Still, we are looking forward and we are eagerly and anxiously waiting for the vaccine to arrive. Under such situation, all the medical professionals, pharmacy professionals, pharmacy scientists are working together to develop this vaccine or a drug to contain this virus and contain the spread of virus. And so we are looking forward to this great research work being carried out. When you talk about the role of pharmacy in this COVID, the pharmacy scientists and pharmacists are playing a great role whenever such crisis is there. They have been serving the people with the utmost care and professionalism. Especially in India, I feel pharmacy has been one of India is a leading countries where pharmacy has been progressing very well. And in fact, we are one of the leading countries in the world in developing drugs, manufacturing drugs, preparing for their marketing and supplying at various parts of the world. So we are extremely happy about that. When you talk about the role of a pharmacist, right from beginning, the research will be carried out in developing a drug by the pharmacist, and the clinical trials will be done by the help of doctors. The pharmacist will be doing the trials. During any disease, during the drug management, the pharmacist has a role to play. During the clinical trials, the side effects, if any, the refining of the drug, more effectively, the pharmacist has to play a major role. And also, the pharmacist will be looking at the preparing a drug which is very cost effective so that it can reach millions of people, especially people who are economically poor and the countries which are economically poor so that they can afford these drugs. So all these very important roles the pharmacist will be playing. In the COVID also, we see the pharmacy has played a major role. They have identified the drugs which are already available, which may not cure purely, but they can contain this COVID to some extent. So, for example, the drug which is used in the containment of the malaria and other diseases have been produced, and we have seen that this is distributed worldwide. Similarly, even at present, the drugs which are needed to maintain the patient's resistance, the body resistance, immunity has been given by these pharmacists and the pharmacy industry. In this way, we cannot just undermine the role of pharmacy. The pharmacy has a major role to play, and it is already played, and it will be playing in such pandemic situations in future. So once again, I'm very happy because we are all from a non-medical background. As a layman, we only look forward to you. How best, how fast you will be delivering, how fast you will help us in protecting us from this COVID-19, how fast we'll be having this vaccine so that the millions of people and all over the world are looking at for this kind of drug to be developed by the pharmacy and pharmacy scientists of this world. So we hope, and you will be successful with by working along with the doctors who will come out with a proper, effective drug or vaccine very fast, very near future. We hope that you will be successful in this. It is a great opportunity for me to inaugurate this one of the best webinars, which is the most appropriate webinars today being conducted by our College of Pharmaceutical Sciences from Tadepalli, Gudem. And I'm congratulating Dr. Hira Bhattu and his colleagues from the Department of Pharmacy. And our registrar being again a professor of pharmacy. And with his encouragement, this webinar is being organized. I'm extremely happy that the Adikavi Nannaya University has been active in conducting webinars from different departments. In this series, this is also one among them. And once again, I thank our expert here, Professor Guru Prasad, for accepting our invitation and for being with us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the inaugural address, sir. And thank you so much for appreciating the pharmacy kingdom of ours. And we seriously strive to make many things for the pharmacy as if we're doing research in curing this COVID-19. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And with your permission, we'll start the session, sir.
Yeah, you can start.
Yeah. Now I request Mr. Kumaraswamy, sir. Kumaraswamy, sir, you're online.
Yes, I'm in.
Yeah. Now I request Mr. Kumaraswamy, sir, to hello.
Yeah, I'm audible. Hello. Yeah, Hira. Am I audible?
Hello.
He's on line here, huh?
Sorry for the inconvenience. Now I request Mr. Kumaraswamy, sir, to introduce our expert, Professor Guru Prasad Mohantagar.
So, thank you, Hira. So, good morning to the dignitaries, executive council members, colleagues, pharmacy professionals, and dear students. Welcome to the today's session on pharmaceutical scenario in COVID-19 era. I am Kumaraswamy, Assistant Professor, Adikavi Nannaya University, College of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Tadepalli, Gudem. Before starting the webinar, I would like to convey my gratitude to the respected Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor M. Jagannath Rao Garu, and the Registrar, Sir, Professor B. Gangarao Garu, for making this webinar to happen. So before starting this webinar on this occasion, I would like to remind a saying, the greatest saying by greatest biologist Charles Darwin, which is apt for this current situation. So it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the intelligent that survives. It is the one that is the most adaptable to change. So it is rightly apt for the current situation, and hope everyone so be adaptable, be fit enough to survive. So now I would like to introduce today's keynote speaker, Professor Guru Prasad Mohantagar, sir, who is an academician, researcher, eminent speaker, former professor and head Annamalai University, former National Technical Officer, WHO Country Office, India. He has 33 years of teaching and research experience. He worked as program management and administration as a technical officer in WHO for 2 years. He was former member for many reputed organizations and universities. Currently, he is a member of Board of Studies for SRM University and Chalpati College of Pharmaceutical Sciences and member of Editorial Board of National Drug Bulletin, CDMU, Orissa. He is a well-renowned person nationally and internationally as a good academician and researcher, credentials with H-Index 21. He published more than 200 articles in various national and international journals. He guided more than 20 scholars for PhD. He supervised many research projects funded by WHO, EPN, ICMR, CSR, and also he was awarded with many fellowships. As a resource person, he delivered 152 lectures in various national and international forums. As a author and co-author, he written 14 books related to the pharmacy profession. He attended more than 90 national and international conferences, and he attended many training sessions sponsored by WHO and FIP. Serving as an examiner for bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhD, and diploma sciences programs in pharmacy of various universities. He visited more than 15 countries during his career, and he received many honors like expert invitee to attend Second International My Dispense Symposium 2008 at Italy, recipient of IA PhD Pharmaceutical Scientist for the year 2015 award, recipient of Best Research Award 2011-2012 Annamalai University, recipient of ICMR Travel Grant to attend 18th International Congress on Tropical Medicine and Malaria 2012, recipient of WHO support to attend 3rd ICIUM 2011 at Turkey. It given me immense pleasure, honor and privilege to introduce Professor Guru Prasad Mohanta sir. We as Adikavi Nana University faculty cordially welcomes you to the webinar. So over to you, sir.
Unmute yourself.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Thank you for the kind words. Revered Professor Jagannath Rao, Vice Chancellor of the University, my good friend, respected Professor Ganga Rao, Registrar of the University, the organizing team led by Professor Hiravatu, other dignitaries. I feel it honored to be here this morning to participate in this webinar. Friends, last more than 6 months, we are under tremendous stress, strain, fear, and whatnot. And we are all looking for a medicine, or we are looking for a vaccine which will protect us against this scary, dreaded coronavirus. One side we find this, the other side, if you look, all the healthcare professionals, they have been working hard to save our life, endangering their own. And in spite of that, often we fail to understand them, and because of various social stigma, they are subjected to very, very high stressful conditions. A situation even arrived where the house owner has asked them to leave because you are going to hospital, and from hospital you will bring the corona. The Doctors Association had to write to the government of India to intervene. Such situation was also arrived. And many who have either suffered or got infected but recovered, they continue to suffering because of our social stigma. And I firmly believe my colleagues, the pharmacy professionals, will take an active role in promoting correct, appropriate information, sharing this information, and talk to the people so that the stigma that is attached with this coronavirus will go and we can live in harmony. Besides what we have been talking of, developing the drug, developing the vaccine, and my sincere appeal to all my professional colleagues, students, pharmacy professionals working in hospital or in the community to educate people so that the stigma is only a myth. So we need to remove these sorts of thinking, this sorts of attitude from the society. So with this background, I'll start my presentation. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear?
So it's not visible, sir.
Not
Just go-
visible.
Just
Okay,
go for
okay, okay.
present now.
Yes.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes.
This is visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear.
Friends, when we look at the current situation, there are many industries, there are many professions, and some of the professions are sustainable, and one of these sustainable profession is pharmaceutical profession, because at the hour of crisis we'll use medicine, and if we are using medicine, it is the pharmacy professional who are the custodians of the medicines. So it is a sustainable profession. Friends, if we look at the pharmaceutical scenario at this moment in this country, we export medicine to more than 200 countries, and that is why people say India is the pharmacy of the world. And probably you remember when the hydroxychloroquine was required by America, and it was India who was able to supply hydroxychloroquine not only to the America but also to all other countries who required. In India, we have more than 260 US FDA manufacturing units. US FDA is the most stringent regulatory authority in the globe. And we have more than 1,400 WHO approved units. So that shows the strength of this country, the strength of India in making medicines. But there is always a but here, because we largely depend on the active pharmaceutical ingredient in China. And we have seen the difficulties of getting API either because of corona or because of the fighting in the border. And that is why our Prime Minister has given a call, Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India, and so is going as self-reliant pharma. And this is necessary to improve the medicine security of the country. If we do not depend on anybody, we will have much more security, because we will not suffer from any issues, any conflict that occurs like what has happened recently. And government has a massive investment plan to increase the production of bulk drugs, and I believe one of the bulk drug units under this program is coming in Visakhapatnam. Friends, at least at this moment, we have no respite from the COVID 2019, and it is time that we need to start living with corona. We cannot run away, because neither we have a medicine for corona or COVID-19, or we have a vaccine at all. Friends, when we talk of no medicine and no vaccine, why we are also interested that it should come as quickly as possible. Yes, everybody wants this, but as we know, even for human beings, a gestation period is required before a full baby delivery. And so as for medicine or vaccine, a gestation period is necessary to test its safety and efficacy before it comes to the market, before it comes to the use by general public. In general, medicine discovery takes 10 to 15 years, but we are trying to do at this moment, throughout the globe, scientists have been working that as quickly as possible we can have a medicine for COVID, and also as quickly as possible vaccine. But there is always, about the vaccine, there is always another heat. Often people are not talking about it. We have been talking that we want vaccine quickly, but there is another issue that I have been talking is, yes, we can have the vaccine, but how long this vaccine will be able to provide us protection? So why we need new drugs? Old drugs become ineffective. At this moment, of course, we are not talking, but this is another threat the human kind is facing, the antimicrobial resistance. And I'm sure as soon as the corona subsides, our next challenge will be antimicrobial resistance, how to tackle. People have been living longer, so more age-related issues, health issues are coming. New diseases, which were not earlier with us, Zika virus, chikungunya, dengue, and of course now the COVID-19. And when we have the medicine, nothing is perfect. As the philosopher says, nothing is perfect. But if we chase perfection, we can achieve excellence. So we continue chasing perfection so that we can improve our medicines better and better, either in terms of safety and efficacy. So there are many ways by which the drugs are discovered. Usual procedure is identification of a new drug target. Now this is coming as gene-based molecular mechanism, computer-aided drug design, directly targeting the receptor, chemical modification of the drug, the natural products are screened, biotechnology, cloning, so on. And at this moment, we are talking only the repurposing of old drugs, because that is the way by which we can perhaps get a drug for COVID-19 in shortest possible time. And why we are talking of this repurposing? Because this requires less investment, and it requires less time because already some study has been conducted. So only the phase 2 and phase 3 trial is necessary. That is basically the efficacy trial because the drugs are already available. So that means safety study is already conducted. We have accepted the study, but whether it will be effective in COVID-19 or not, that is only we need to ensure. You can see how much less expenditure is involved at this moment. 300 to 400 US dollar, 300 to 400 million US dollar is required for repurposing a drug, while if you start from scratch, it requires 2 to 3 billion US dollars. So it is very easy now for us because neither the investment is required high nor is time required. See, we have basically 4 phases of clinical trial. Phase 1, the healthy volunteers. This is already done for these new repurposed drugs that has been now studied. Phase 2, small number of patients, and phase 3, large number of patients. So phase 2 and phase 3 trials are now going on in different parts of the globe. So when we talk of the new drug research, 2 important things are required. One is the ethics committee's approval. The other one is approval from the Central Licensing Authority, Drug Controller General of India. Without Drug Controller General of India's approval, the drugs cannot be marketed in India. And without ethics committee's approval, no drug trial can be conducted. I have recently written an article based on the drug research that is happening around the globe, drug research for COVID-19, a challenging task, and it was published on April 17th in Pharma Beach. Based on that article, the next of my presentation is based on one of the most important study. There are many drug trial study are conducted, like recovery study, and this is one solidarity study, and this study is conducted by World Health Organization and initiated on 18th March 2020. More than 100 countries are participating. India too is part of the solidarity trial. But thing is, we are in a little hurry because people are dying. We need to save lives. And that is why we cannot afford to wait for doing double-blind or placebo control study. These are double-blind placebo control study is normally a gold standard in drug trial. We are not waiting to do that. This is a prospective interventional study, and 5 alternatives are tested, and standard care is the reference standard. Standard care means no medicine, only the supportive therapy. In India, 5 hospitals are approved for this solidarity trial. 2 from Ahmedabad, 1 from Chennai, 1 from Jodhpur, and 1 from Bhopal. The National AIDS Research Institute is coordinating this study. This is a Government of India institute, ICMR institute, which is coordinating the study, and it plans to have at least 1,500 patients. And at this moment, it is only 5, but they plan to have at least 20 sites in India. So these are the 4 protocols they are studied: remdesivir, lopinavir and ritonavir combination, hydroxychloroquine, lopinavir with beta interferon. These 4 protocols are studied under solidarity trial. And how these four are only chosen by World Health Organization? Because they are most likely to work. The safety data are available, and not only this, they are likely to work or safety data available. It is easy to have sufficient quantity, not only for the trial, but immediately after the trial, if it is successful, for use by the patient. And friends, this is the most promising at this moment. I say most promising, and the government of India has already permitted to use this drug in our patient, but only in emergency. This was the drug developed for Ebola, but did not work. This remdesivir works by preventing the virus replication. It does not allow the virus to grow. And what is the mechanism? It inhibits the key enzyme RNA polymerase, and thus it prevents the multiplication of virus. Animal testing has proved it reduces the virus load in lung tissue of mice infected with MERS coronavirus, improve lung functioning, but no much data available prior to the study on human beings. Then we have lopinavir and ritonavir. This is already approved medicine used for HIV. In vitro and clinical studies have shown their effectiveness against the coronavirus, but how far it is effective against the COVID virus, we have to see the study result. Hydroxychloroquine. Actually, chloroquine is not much used. It is only the hydroxychloroquine. And hydroxychloroquine, it really came to the prominence when the American president said he believes in hydroxychloroquine and had been taking this to prevent coronavirus. There are a lot of confusion, lot of conflicts about this hydroxychloroquine. Even at this moment, ICMR encourages use of hydroxychloroquine as a preventive measure for the health workers. But there are conflicting results from some other studies conducted outside India. At one point, the Lancet has said hydroxychloroquine does not work, and that was again a cooked study. The authors has to retract the articles, causing disreputation to a journal like Lancet. And again, WHO included this for the study. And finally, some other results came. Hydroxychloroquine study is now dropped from Solidarity trial. In vitro results or laboratory investigation have shown non-specific antiviral activity, but what the study result have shown, this is only its curative effect, but hydroxychloroquine is basically in India is promoted as a preventive measure for the frontline health workers. Unfortunately, there are several deaths reported, including some of the doctors who medicated as a preventive measure along with another antibiotic called azithromycin. Yes, hydroxychloroquine is known to prolong the QT interval, and azithromycin is also known for it, and there was additive side effect which probably caused the death of some of the patients who use hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine is contraindicated for patients with cardiovascular issues. Friends, this is based on this how we are moving for searching COVID cure, and I compared this with that of Ramayana's when Lakshman was unconscious. They are searching for a Sanjeevani, and Lord Rama sent Hanuman to go and bring Sanjeevani, but he could not locate. He brought the whole mountain. This is the article published in Orissa Post. Lopinavir and ritonavir, the two combinations that we have discussed earlier, which are used in HIV treatment. Successful, they have been used, but now we are trying whether they are useful in this coronavirus which causing COVID-19. Interferon beta is a molecule which regulates inflammation in the body, and perhaps this is one of the best bet. Interferon beta. Thing is, this virus is slightly older than 6 months. The disease is also of that old. So we are not sure at this moment what could be the other effect of this virus on human body. Initially we thought, and probably still we continue believing, it affects the lungs, and from the lungs we get pneumonia type symptoms, and we started our investigation based on that. How can we protect lungs? But with time, we now understand it affects other organs also. So when we talk of drugs, medicine, vaccines, pharmaceuticals, the first thing is all these have both sides. As we have the both sides of the coin, they do good things, they help us to recover, they help us to manage the disease and control the disease or infection, but at the same time they do harm also. But when the benefit outweighs the harm, we accept this as medicine. The chances of getting good, chances of getting recovered is better than getting harmed. Then only we choose them as drug. That is what we call this benefit risk ratio. And the father of the modern medicine has said, your medicine, or you as a doctor, your first thing, philosophy of your ethics is do no harm. So as the clinical trials that we conduct, the first philosophy of ethics, first principle of ethics, do no harm. Yes, friends, we have been talking of medicines, and our revered Vice Chancellor said the medicine must always be cost effective. If medicine is not cost effective, the medicine is of little value. Yes, medicine is good, medicine is very effective, medicine is available in the pharmacy self, but I have no money to buy. So such medicines are of little value to the society. And there is always a conflict between the patent and accessibility of the medicine. Friends, there is a company, Gilead Bioscience. This company developed a medicine sometimes back, not for COVID, but for hepatitis C, and priced this medicine at 1,000 US dollar per tablet. US government said it is not possible to afford this medicine. This was the situation. 1,000 US dollar per pill. Fortunately, in our country, government has allowed this manufacturing and sale at a lower price, which was for a full course was just about 6,000 rupees. And you cannot believe, and that is probably one of the impetus, one of the factors which promoted medical tourism in this country. People from all over the world, they came for hepatitis C treatment to our country. The government permitted for domestic use. Under this new regime, this GATT, WTO and all, under the compulsory licensing, government can permit only domestic use, but not to export. And that is how people came for treatment for hepatitis C. And now, same Gilead has discovered this remdesivir, one of the most promising molecule at this moment. It has applied for a patent and got US patent. You got the Indian patent also in 2020. It applied for orphan drug status to US FDA. Orphan drug status means the government will not control the price of this medicine. But see how this pharmaceutical company uses this patent and other tricks. Of course, being a profitable company, being a company, their motive definitely, but at the same time, the patient interest are also necessary to be considered. And the whole world is now looking that we should not permit the monopoly of the patent for the possible COVID drugs, and people should get the benefit of it. Look at this point. Gilead got the patents in 2019, US patent. This company got the patent. Nobody else's name is in the patent, but US government and academics spent 70.5 million US dollar for the development of this drug for Ebola. But no credit comes. Yes, only credit that US gets is US will have the first chance to buy. And you can now see even the Chief Minister of Delhi is appealing people to donate plasma, means the recovered patients from COVID donate plasma, because the Delhi government has established the plasma bank. So this, if we look at this convalescent plasma, its theory or its hypothesis rather goes back to 1900, early 1900, where they use diphtheria, collected the antibodies from the diphtheria recovered patients and giving to the children. Thereby, they could save the thousands and thousands lives of children dying at that time due to diphtheria, and the concerned scientist was given the first Nobel Prize in physiology, first Nobel Prize in physiology and medicine. And now also, if we look at, we have the antibody preparations from horse, anti-tetanus serum, that all we use because it is the antibody that is available in a animal. How it is available? It is induced to develop these antibodies, and these antibodies we are keeping it for emergency use. And this is also now in many centers we have the clinical trials of this plasma therapy. There are other medicines like dexamethasone. This is the recovery study from the United Kingdom, where they say that it saves lives. Then we have another drug, itolizumab. At this moment, biocon companies have started marketing. It is a psoriasis drug. Then we have the favipiravir, the influenza drugs from Japan. They are all now permitted to be used in this country, but to a limited extent. And yesterday's newspaper in the Hindu, ICMR chief raises doubt over this itolizumab because it is tried only in limited number of patients. Friends, at this moment, we have many misinformation, not only in the print media, but rampant in the social media. There are many fact checkings. The Facebook has removed more than 1,000 informations which has no basis, misleading from its website. And whenever we talk, because we know very little about this virus and much details are not known, because as the disease progresses, in 2 days. And the only way to combat corona, namaste. My namaste to everybody. Thank you for your understanding. Thank you for your patience. And thank you for the opportunity to permit me to share my thoughts in this present drug discovery scenario. I wish everyone of you and your family safe and healthy. Thank you very much.
Kumar Swami sir. Swami sir.
So that was very informative speech on touching cure or COVID-19 by Professor Guruprasad Mohanta sir. Here I am audible.
Yes, audible sir. Audible sir.
So we can't express how grateful we are to have you here with us today, sir. So your lecture helped us to get knowledge about drug repurposing and various treatment options that are available for COVID-19. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I am bowing down to you, sir, for your knowledge, experience, and achievements. And once again, thank you. And we should be very cautious and aware of what we are communicating with others. Sir earlier mentioned about this. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Gurumahanta, sir, for your nice session, informative session. So we'll move to next session. So, over to you, Hira.
There are mute లో ఉంది. There are mute లో ఉంది చూసుకో.
Yeah. Mohanta sir, on behalf of
Yes, sir.
Adhikavi Namya University College of Pharmaceutical Sciences, it was a memorable presentation being the first one, and we are very grateful you took the time of your busy schedule to address the gathering, and thank you very much for enlightening and stimulating presentation, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Mrs. Ari Lakshmi to introduce the second speaker, Dr. Krishna Undela, sir.
Hello. Hello. Hello, sir. Hello. Here, sir.
Madam, you're audible, but it's not clear, madam.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, madam, it's clear.
Good morning to all and all. Thank you for being here this morning. First of all, I'm very glad to introduce Dr. Krishna Undela, PhD. He is the faculty, Department of Pharmacy Practice, JSS College of Pharmacy, JSS Academy of Higher Education and Research, Mysore, India. Krishna Undela has graduated in pharmacy from Sri Vidyaniketan College of Pharmacy, Tirupati in 2010 and completed M.Pharm in Pharmacy Practice from NIPER, Mohali in 2012. Thereafter, he started working at JSS College of Pharmacy as a lecturer in the Department of Pharmacy Practice. He completed his PhD from JSS Academy of Higher Education and Research, Mysore, and his doctoral research work entitled The Impact of Medical Conditions and Medication Use During Pregnancy on Adverse Birth Outcomes, a hospital-based case control study. Krishna Undela is having experience in conducting various pharmacoepidemiological studies in hospital and community settings. He received travel grant from International Society for Pharmacoepidemiology to attend held at various countries like Hong Kong, Taiwan, Thailand, Australia, and Japan. He has also received a travel grant from International Society for Pharmacoeconomics and Outcomes Research to attend ISPO or European Congress held in Austria in 2016. The 2015 Endeavour Executive Fellowship from the Department of Education, Australia. Krishna Undela is also having expertise in conducting systematic reviews and meta-analysis and published papers in various peer-reviewed journals with having good citations and good impact factors with H-index 9 and height index 9. Krishna Undela delivered more than 70 guest lectures at various national and international conferences in the areas of pharmacoepidemiology, pharmacovigilance, pharmacoeconomics, and systematic reviews and meta-analysis. Currently a member of International Society of Pharmacovigilance, International Society for Pharmacoepidemiology, International Society for Pharmacoeconomics and Outcomes Research, and also in the Indian Pharmaceutical Association. Now I hand over this session to Dr. Krishna Undela. Very welcome you, sir. Hearty welcome you, sir. Hello.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for the kind introduction. I'm pleased to that. And first of all, I would like to thank the authorities of Adhikavi Namya University and College of Pharmaceutical Sciences and as well as Dr. Prasad Mohanta sir for giving me this opportunity to speak in this one of the very important webinar on COVID-19. So it's my pleasure to be part of this webinar and speaking on the therapeutic management of the COVID-19. So I'll just share my slides and maybe you can see, is it visible to you?
No, sir.
I can.
Yes, sir.
Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Now it's visible, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
So, good morning, everyone. Good morning to all the participants who joined here. Thank you very much for your time and joining, understanding some of the important aspects about the COVID-19. And thanks to Mohan for elaborating almost all aspects of the management for the COVID-19, with the cost and other logistics for medications we are using currently. And that's an elaborative talk, sir. I think it highlighted most of the aspects, and it gave me a very good opportunity to express myself from other aspects of this COVID-19 management. So here on the topic managing COVID-19, the pharmacist role, I would like to speak very particular and very specific aspects on the very important management, the very important therapeutic options which are available currently for treating the COVID-19. And if you see any guideline which is elaborated, and they are going to be give kinds of management in the particular guideline, but I'm not going to speak all those things. I'm going to focus more on the specific to COVID-19, not be the symptomatic management and may not be the management for the respiratory and other complications. So my topic is going to be a very big therapy for the COVID-19, and I'm going to highlight some of the important aspects which we can see in some of the important guidelines by WHO, US, as well as India, so that the audience will be aware that what kind of management which is going for the COVID-19 patients. It is very curious to know. It was very curious to me as a person who did not get the COVID-19, and as a layman, as a person, we may not be knowing what exactly the treatment which is giving for the COVID-19 patients. That's obviously it's going to be very curious to know. Even the curiosity was there even with me. But when I started going to hospital, I got to know what kind of management which is giving for the COVID-19 patients. And it's very interesting. Earlier, maybe in the month of March, we were searching for the medications. We were really having the medications for the COVID-19. But now the scenario got changed. Now we need to choose the medication. So now we have different options for treating the COVID-19. In those options, we need to choose which is best for the patients, and then we need to go for the management. So the scenario got changed in 3 months. That's the reason all of us should know what should be the treatment and what should not go for the patients. So I'm going to express some of the important components of these 3 guidelines which are given by the WHO. And the guidance given by the WHO, the update was on 27th May. And one more important guidelines given by the CDC, for Disease Control and Prevention from USA. They have given some guidelines for treating the COVID-19 patients. And most importantly, all of us, because we are staying back in India, so we should understand what kind of treatment the patients in India are receiving for the COVID-19. And thanks to the government of India coming out with an elaborated management guidelines protocol. And this is the version 3. I have seen all the versions, version 1, version 2, as well as version 3. And this version 3 is a very clear cut, and they are given almost all the management options for the COVID-19. And so before going and see these guidelines, what is there in the guidelines and what are the important points we need to take it from the guidelines. So first of all, we need to understand one aspect. Whatever may be the guideline, it is going to treat the patients in 3 different areas, 3 different managements based on the severity of the condition. Okay, so it is not that we need to treat all the patients who are tested positive for the COVID-19. We need to choose the people, we need to select the people before going to manage the patients. And this is one of the important finding which we can see from the study which is conducted in China. So they have conducted a study, a cohort study for more than 44,000 people, and just to understand what is the severity of the COVID-19. And it's very interesting. I think some of these facts already you know. So we can see this: out of 44,000 patients who are tested positive for the COVID-19, only 5% are having a critical respiratory failure. So they are in the critical stage. That means people are having the respiratory failure, shock, or multi-organ system dysfunction. So whenever the person is having any one of these complications, then we are going to be say person is in the critical stage. Only 5% of the people out of 44,000. It's very less, I can say. And 14% are having the severe condition, and where they're having the dyspnea, hypoxia, as well as more than 50% of lung involvement in the imaging studies. And interestingly, more than 81%, it's a very huge percentage of the patients who are having the mild to moderate symptoms, mild symptoms up to mild pneumonia. Maybe they may have some fever, throat pain, and some of the mild symptoms they're having. That is a major percentage of people who are tested positive for the COVID-19. So these patients, almost 81% of the patients may not require any treatment only, may not require any treatment, which we are going to talk about in the guidelines. So we can manage them symptomatically, we can manage a fever, we can manage a throat pain, we can manage other complications which they get if the condition is in the mild to moderate. And the main concern is going to be the people who are having only the severe or the critical condition. So whatever the guideline says, it is going to be mainly meant for the severe as well as the critical cases of the COVID-19. And this 81%, I think nowadays, they mention only it is mild to moderate symptoms, but I think nowadays we need to add even the asymptomatic also. As we are getting most of the patients who are tested positive for the COVID-19, we'll get to know they are positive only when we go and test. Otherwise, they are not having any symptoms. Majority of the people, they're not having any symptoms. And only when we test, we will get to know that they are positive for the COVID-19. So that's a majority of the percentage where they don't even require any management, any treatment for the COVID-19. So coming to some of the basic information and some of the important information in terms of the management of the COVID-19. And if you see the gist of WHO guidelines for the management of COVID-19, it's very interesting. They said that using of these antivirals, immunomodulators, and other adjunctive therapies are not recommended. They clearly mentioned, and this is the guideline which is given by the WHO, which was updated on 27th May, almost I think more than 1.5 months back. And what they said is they did not recommend using these medications as a treatment or for the prophylaxis of the COVID-19 outside of the clinical trials. So in the clinical trials, maybe we can use these medications, but not outside the clinical trials. We should not use this medication, they clearly mention. And they mentioned that we should not use a chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, with or without azithromycin. And we should not go with antivirus like lopinavir, ritonavir, remdesivir, favipiravir. So whatever the medications which came recently. And they did not advise of giving this even immunomodulators like tocilizumab as well as interferon beta 1A. And they did not advise even giving for the plasma therapy. I think it's very interesting to know these WHO guidelines. Most of the treatments, what they have mentioned here, which are not recommended to be given to the patients outside the clinical trials, are practicing very well in most of the countries nowadays. That means they're giving some of these medications for the patients who are tested with the COVID-19, even without clinical trials. And people have started using this remdesivir, people are using this favipiravir, and in India, still we are continuing using this chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine, and people started using tocilizumab. So even though WHO guidelines says that we should not use these medications, but majority of the countries already started using these medications. So we should understand that. And the second one is about the corticosteroid therapy. I think nowadays hydroxychloroquine was the first one. And after that, dexamethasone become the one more important medication can be considered for the COVID-19. And they said once again that we recommend against the routine use of systemic corticosteroids for the treatment of viral pneumonia. So because it's a pneumonia, and once again, the WHO did not recommend using the systemic corticosteroids like dexamethasone and methylprednisolone. These medications are not recommended by the WHO. And one more important aspect is using the antibiotics, right? So whatever the infection it may be, usually we are going to start antibiotics. Even though it's a viral, I'm sure that most of the patients are already receiving the antibiotics, especially the macrolide antibiotics and other broad spectrum antibiotics. And the WHO once again clearly mentioned we should not go with the antibiotic therapy, especially when the cases are mild as well as the moderate. So when the case is mild and moderate, we should not go for the antibiotic therapy. And they have suggested we may start the antibiotic empirically whenever the person is having the severe cases of COVID-19. So whenever it is severe, then maybe we can think over of using the empiric antimicrobials. Otherwise, for mild and moderate, they did not advise for the antibiotics. I think it's very interesting slide to understand. I did not because you can say whenever they have this red mark, that means it is not recommended. Whenever they have this green, that is recommended. So here in this slide, not recommended are many compared to the one which is recommended. And it's very difficult to understand what WHO is suggesting us to use for the COVID-19, especially for the medication management I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the other kinds of management, the airway management and other managements which we are going to be giving for the COVID patients. I'm talking about the medication management. I think as per these guidelines by WHO, there are no options for giving the patients who are having the COVID-19. It's very interesting. So let us see what the US guidelines and Indian guidelines show us. So coming to the guideline from CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, as well as from NIH, National Institute of Health from USA. If you see their guidelines, what they suggest about the therapeutic management of COVID-19, and especially about the antiviral therapy. So they have updated this guidelines on June 25th based on the publications and other evidences that are available recently. So they have modified this guidelines, and this is the one which they have added on this updated guidelines. And they recommended of using the remdesivir. The CDC, the US organizations, they recommended of using the antiviral therapy, that is remdesivir. And especially they have given some condition. It is not that we are going to use a remdesivir for all the COVID-19 positive patients. Remdesivir is a very specific therapy, as mentioned by Mohanta sir. It's very specific therapy. We should not give it for all the patients who are tested positive for the COVID-19. And there is some criteria for choosing the remdesivir, and we need to give only for those patients this particular medication. And if you see here what they mention, we need to use this medication remdesivir only for the patients who are hospitalized, and whenever their SpO2, that is oxygen saturation, is less than 94% on room air, and those who require supplemental oxygen. So whenever they require oxygen supplementation, and as well as they're having the low oxygen saturation, and in that case, we can go and choose the remdesivir. I think this can be possible only in the severe cases of the COVID-19. That means indirectly we can understand that this remdesivir is only meant for the patients who are having the severe COVID-19. And also the panel recommended the remdesivir for treatment COVID-19 in patients who are on the mechanical ventilation or who are receiving this extracorporeal membrane oxygenation. So in these cases, we can go and use a remdesivir as an antiviral therapy. And using of corticosteroids, the CDC suggested once again, we can go and use corticosteroid like dexamethasone at a dose of 6 mg per day for up to 10 days in patients with COVID-19 who are mechanically ventilated, and in patients with COVID-19 who require the supplemental oxygenation and who are not mechanically ventilated. And also the panel recommended against using dexamethasone in patients with COVID-19 not taking the supplemental oxygen. So here it's very clear, we are going to use a dexamethasone only when it is required, only when the people who are not mechanically ventilated, and whenever the people who do not require supplemental oxygen, in that case, we should not use the dexamethasone. It is very clear. And the third one is using these antibiotics as an empirical therapy. And here the recommendation is there is no sufficient data to get this recommendation on using empirical broad spectrum antimicrobial therapy in the absence of another infection, another indication. So if the person is not having any bacterial infection, they are suggesting not to start any antibiotics. It's very clear. And if the antimicrobials are initiated, they recommend that their use should be reassessed daily, and in order to minimize our adverse consequences, unnecessary antimicrobial therapy. So in case if you're starting any antibiotic, certainly we need to monitor the patients on a daily basis and try to understand, is that antibiotic still required? If the doctor feels the antibiotic is not required, then they should stop it immediately, just to avoid some of the unnecessary complications because of the antimicrobial therapy. So these are the three important points we can get it from the CDC Center for Disease Control and Prevention, as well as a National Institute of Health from USA. It's very clear. And coming to the Indian guidelines. Indian guidelines, I feel very happy because the Indian guidelines are more clearer, especially now, the version 3. They're very clear. They mention what to do with the COVID-19 patients compared to even the WHO guidelines as well as the US guidelines. So if you see some of the important points from the Indian guidelines, they recommended certainly using this the newer antiviral medication, that is remdesivir, one of the promised medication for giving for the COVID-19 patients, as mentioned by Mohanta sir once again. And remdesivir may be considered in patients with a moderate disease, those who are on the oxygen supplementation, and with none of the following contraindications. So I feel it's very clear. The recommendation is very clear in the Indian guidelines about the use of remdesivir compared to the previous guidelines by WHO and USA. They say that US guidelines, they say that we can go for the remdesivir, but in the Indian guidelines we can see very clear-cut specific causes where we are going to use the remdesivir. So they clearly mention that we should not use this remdesivir for all the patients. We need to consider all these points like an inclusion criteria, and then only we are going to use the remdesivir. So it is going to be contraindicated. Remdesivir is going to be contraindicated whenever the patient is having any one of these conditions, like AST, ALT increase more than 5 times, then we should not go for the remdesivir, because one of the important adverse effects identified for the remdesivir is increasing this liver enzymes. So that's the reason we should not start the remdesivir when the people are having more than 5 times of upper limit of normal of this AST and ALT. And also when the person is having the severe renal impairment, that is when the GFR is less than 30 ml per minute, or the patient is on hemodialysis, we should not go for this remdesivir once again. It's one more contraindication for the remdesivir. As well as when the patient is a pregnant or lactating mother, or maybe a children who are having less than 12 years of age, in that case, we should not go for the remdesivir. So apart from all this, if any patient is having COVID-19, where there is a requirement of the oxygen supplementation, who are in a critical stage of the COVID-19, in that case, we can go for the remdesivir. So that is about where to use and to whom to use the remdesivir. And the guideline is very clear how much dose also we need to give. They mention very clearly the dose of the remdesivir is going to be 200 mg IV we need to give on day 1, and followed by 100 mg IV daily for 5 days. So it is mainly meant for the 5 days therapy, the remdesivir. And on the first day, we are going to be give 200 mg as a loading dose. And as a maintenance dose, the remaining 4 days, we are going to be gives the 100 mg. So that's what the remdesivir therapy, which we need to give for the patients who are tested with COVID-19. And the second one, the second medical management given in the Indian guidelines is convalescent plasma. Once again, it was mentioned by Mohanta sir. So they suggested we can go with this convalescent plasma. It may be considered in patients with a moderate disease and who are not improving with the oxygen requirement. In that case, we can go for the remdesivir. So where the person is not getting benefit because of remdesivir, or maybe after using the steroids, if the person is not getting the benefit, if the person is not getting better, in that case, we can go for the convalescent plasma. And the third one, and one more important medications we are using recently for the COVID-19 patients is tocilizumab. And it's once again the off-label indication for this COVID-19. Even the convalescent plasma is off-label indication. And this is the only indicated medication. I think currently the remdesivir is the only indicated medication for the COVID-19. Indicated in the sense, once again, it is not approved by the FDA, not approved by any other regulatory authorities. It is given the emergency requirement. So they have given this emergency authority where we can use this medication in the current situation for the COVID-19. So coming to this tocilizumab, once again, they say that we can consider this medication in patients with a moderate disease with a progressively increasing oxygen requirements and in mechanically ventilated patients and not improving despite of using the steroids. So once again, it is a higher end therapy. Whenever the person is not getting the benefit from the antivirals, then maybe we can go and add the tocilizumab as an immunosuppressive therapy. And long-term safety data of COVID-19 remains largely unknown, and special consideration before use of this medication we need to consider. So tocilizumab usage is coming recently, and there is not much information available on this medication, so that we have to be very careful while giving this tocilizumab medication. And because it is an immunosuppressant, it is going to be suppress the immune system, And because of that reason, the person may have a chance of getting the other infections. So that's the reason we need to be very careful while giving this tocilizumab. And we need to make sure that the person is not having these conditions. Then only we can go with the tocilizumab. So special considerations before its use is the presence of raised inflammatory markers. So first of all, before giving this medication, we should see that there is an increasing of C-reactive protein, ferritin, or interleukin-6. So those are the markers for the inflammation. If you feel that these markers are elevated, inflammatory markers are elevated, then only we can go with the tocilizumab. And patients should be carefully monitored post-tocilizumab for secondary infections as well as a neutropenia. So one more adverse event identified for this tocilizumab is it can cause a neutropenia, and also it is going to be cause the secondary infections. The secondary infections means, as I mentioned earlier, because of the immune suppression, it is going to be suppress the immune system. The person may have a chance of getting the other infections as well. So that's we need to be careful. And one more important point before considering this tocilizumab is the active infections and tuberculosis should be ruled out before using this. So the person should not have any other infections, especially the bacterial infections, and the person should not have the active tuberculosis at that time. Then only we can go with the tocilizumab. So if the person is already having the other infections or the tuberculosis, these conditions are going to be worse, and they may create more challenges compared to the COVID-19. Okay, so when you give this tocilizumab, we need to be very careful, and we need to understand all these things before starting the tocilizumab treatment. We need to keep in mind all these terms. And the dose, if you see the tocilizumab dose, which is given in the Indian guidelines, so they mentioned that we need to go with the 8 mg per kg. Maximum we can give up to 800 mg at one time. And we need to give the dose slowly in 100 ml normal saline over 1 hour. And dose can be repeated once after 12 to 24 hours if needed. So otherwise, it's only the one dose we are going to give. It is not like remdesivir where we are going to be give for 5 days. And the tocilizumab, we are going to be give only one dose when the patients are having the COVID-19. And if it is required, if it is necessary, if we feel, then we can go for the second dose after 12 to 24 hours. And the one dose what we are going to be give is going to be the 800 mg maximum we are going to be give with 100 ml normal saline. And we need to give as an infusion for a period of 1 hour. And another one, I think all of us know about this, the hydroxychloroquine, and how the scenario got changed with the hydroxychloroquine. I think all of you observed when in the month of December, January, February, we felt that hydroxychloroquine was a wonder medication for this COVID-19. And now no one is bothering for the hydroxychloroquine. So the situation got changed drastically about the hydroxychloroquine. And that's the reason many other guidelines by WHO, CDC, and other guidelines, they're not suggesting now using the hydroxychloroquine for the COVID-19. But still, in the guidelines, we are seeing this COVID-19. But there is a caution for using the hydroxychloroquine and they clearly mentioned that this can be given as a case with the other antivirus. This drug should be used as early in the disease course as possible to achieve any meaningful effect and should be avoided in patients with a severe disease. That's a very clear understand of using the hydroxychloroquine. I'm seeing the patients who are receiving remdesivir, and they're also receiving this tocilizumab, and also they're receiving hydroxychloroquine. All the three are for the different indications. We need to understand that clearly. So remdesivir only when the person is in the severe stage. Tocilizumab we can give when there is no improvement only because of remdesivir and the tocilizumab. That means when we are giving these two medications, we should understand that the person is in the critical stage or the person is in the severe COVID-19. In that case, there is no use of hydroxychloroquine because hydroxychloroquine may be useful for the patients who are having the mild to moderate symptoms, and it be avoided in patients who are having the severe diseases. It's a very clear indication. I think all of us as a pharmacist, we should keep in mind, if you are a clinical pharmacist in the hospitals, having an understanding of all these things, you should be able to explain to the physicians maybe what may be the right choice for the patients as per the condition about the patient. Okay, so we need to understand, we need to take a point from in this slide is hydroxychloroquine cannot be given for the severe cases. It is meant for the patients who are having the mild to moderate as well as who are having the early symptoms of the 19. So these are some of the important points I would like to highlight from the Indian guidelines given by the Ministry of Health. which are very important, which gave the, I think, clear instructions for all the physicians who are treating the COVID-19 patients in India. So if they just look into these guidelines and they can manage well the patients who are having the COVID-19, it's very clear information they have given. And this is one more important slide, which I have seen from the same guidelines. I think this kind of picture I have seen only in the Indian guidelines, where they clearly explain what need to be done to the patients who are tested positive with the COVID-19. And we need to, first of all, categorize them into 3 categories. That's mild, moderate, severe. Okay, so that's the first point we need to do before even managing the patient. Once you feel the person is suspecting COVID-19 or a confirmed case of COVID-19, and before even treatment, we need to understand either the person comes into any one of these. That's what we need to understand first. Either the person should be mild, that means when the person is having only the fever and upper respiratory tract infection. Either the person is having the moderate COVID-19, that is the person is having the pneumonia with signs of severe disease, as well as respiratory rate is increasing more than 24 per minute, as well as SpO2 is less than 94% on room air. In that case, we can consider the person is having the moderate COVID-19 disease. And also we need to categorize when the person is having the severe one. So when we can say severe COVID-19, when there's a respiratory distress requiring the mechanical ventilation. So when you feel that the person should be admitted in the RICU, respiratory ICU, where there's a requirement of mechanical ventilation, in that case, we can consider the patient is having the severe COVID-19. And also we can see the respiratory rate more than 30 and SpO2 less than 90%. So this is very important before even managing any patient with the COVID-19. First of all, we need to understand either the person should come into which one of these groups, mild, moderate, or severe, because the entire management is going to be depending upon these 3 categories. If you see here, it's very clear. If the person is having the mild COVID-19, the person is going to be admitted in the COVID care center. It's a CCC, we are going to be call it as. And or the person can be even in the home isolation. If the person is not having any severe symptoms, I think nowadays we can see that even though the person is tested with the COVID-19, they're asking the patients to be at home only as a home isolation instead of taking them into the hospital, okay, and exposing them for the critical conditions. And if they're in the moderate conditions, then they're going to be admitted in the dedicated COVID healthcare center. That's a DCHC. And if they're having a severe condition, then they're going to be admitted in the dedicated COVID-19 hospital. Okay, so these are the 3 centers we are going to have. And based on the mild, moderate, severe, we are going to be taken to the patient in any one of these centers. And coming to the management wise, if the person is having the mild symptoms, I think we can manage well with the symptomatic therapy. And maximum possible, we can go and give the hydroxychloroquine here. That is what suggested by the Indian guidelines. We can give the hydroxychloroquine when the person is having the mild condition of 400 mg BD on day 1 and 400 mg OD for next 4 days. Okay, so initially we are going to give BD dose of 400 mg and another 4 days we are going to give 400 mg once in a daily dose. And that's what the treatment we can give apart from all other management issues. And coming to the moderate one, here the person may require the oxygen supplementation. So we need, because the person is having the oxygen saturation less than 94%, we may need to give this oxygen supplementation, and the target SpO2 is going to be 92 to 96%. So the person should have at least 92 to 96% as a target oxygen supplementation, and that's the reason we need to supply the oxygen from outside. And as well, we can also go with hydroxychloroquine here. So they mentioned the person can be received here also once again hydroxychloroquine, that is 400 mg BD on day 1 and 400 mg OD for the another 4 days they can be given. And here one more consideration is giving the corticosteroid like methylprednisolone as an anti-inflammatory medication. And the IV methylprednisolone can be given 0.5 to 1 mg per kg for 3 days. So that's a recommendation for the moderate people. Oxygen supplementation, hydroxychloroquine, as well as the methylprednisolone. That may be the management for the patients. And we can manage other complications as well. If you feel the person is having a chance of getting this coagulation, so then we can go and give the anticoagulation. Because there is one more mechanism recently identified that this COVID-19 virus can cause a coagulation and can cause a coagulopathy as well as endotheliopathy. And just to prevent that, maybe we can start the unfractionated heparin or the low molecular weight heparin just to prevent the clotting complications. And coming to the severe one, so how we are going to be manage the patients who are having the severe conditions of COVID-19. So once again, here we are going to go for the mechanical ventilation, certainly for the patients because oxygen saturation is less than 90%. And then we can go and consider the methylprednisolone of 1 to 2 mg per kg body weight, and that we are going to be give for 5 to 7 days. And then we can go for the prophylactic therapy of this unfractionated heparin or low molecular weight heparin just to prevent the clotting complications. And then we can go for the ventilation management. We need to go for the mechanical ventilation, and that's very much required for the patients who are having the severe conditions. So apart from all this, apart from how we are managing the patients with the supplemental therapy, then we can go and consider some of the investigational therapies also, only for the patients who are having the severe conditions. And that's where the difference is. Whatever the investigational therapies we have seen, just like remdesivir, tocilizumab, and convalescent plasma. So these are all the therapies which are available, which are meant for only for the patients who are in the severe stages of the COVID-19. And those therapies may not be required to be started with the patients with mild and moderate conditions. So we should be very clear in that aspect. And these investigational therapies are only meant for the patients with the severe conditions. So it's very clear. I think this picture is very important from the Indian guidelines, where we can clearly understand how we're going to manage the patients with COVID-19. And I'm just going to be talking about a few important points about the two medications, what we're suggesting from the Indian guidelines. One is a remdesivir, and this is a remdesivir prescribing information which I got it from FDA, and they have given a very clear instructions how to use a remdesivir for the COVID-19 patients. And as you know already, the remdesivir is available in two forms. One is a lyophilized powder; it is available for injection, and another one is remdesivir injection. So direct injection is available, as well as the lyophilized powder is available for the remdesivir. And we need to give this medication based on the patient body weight. When the patient body weight is 3.5 to 40 kgs, in that case, we can go for the 5 mg per kg on day 1. And maintenance dose, we are going to be go for from day 2, we are going to be give half of the loading dose, that is a 2.5 mg per kg. So whenever the person is a children, as well as person weight is less than 40 kg, in that case, we need to consider the dose as per the body weight. 5 mg per kg as a loading dose on day 1, 2.5 mg per kg as a maintenance dose from day 2. And the second one is when the person is of 40 kg and higher, when the person is an adult patient, and we can go for either lyophilized powder or we can go with a remdesivir injection. And it's very clearly suggested when the person is a pediatric patient or having less than 40 kgs body weight. In that case, we need to go with only the lyophilized powder, not the remdesivir injection. Okay, so that's one more important point we need to consider for the remdesivir. And if the person is an adult patient, and maintenance dose, we can go with 100 mg. So this is about the dose, how much we need to give based on the patient body weight. And coming to the duration, how many days we need to give the remdesivir. And they suggested that when the person is, when the patient require the invasive mechanical ventilation and also extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, total treatment duration is going to be the 10 days. When the person is require the mechanical ventilation, in that case, we can go for the 10 days treatment. Or for the patients not requiring this mechanical ventilation, we can give only for the. So after giving 5 days, if you still feel it is required for the patients, and then we can continue for another 5 days. So maximum we can give only for 10 days. And administer remdesivir via IV infusion over 30 to 120 minutes. Once again, we need to give as an IV infusion, the remdesivir, and that we are going to be administered 30 to 120 minutes. And whenever maybe if any healthcare professionals are here, who are dealing the patients of the COVID-19 and want to use a remdesivir, I think one of the best document you may get it is the prescribing information from this FDA, which is having, I think, more than 30 pages document, a very clear description given about how to use a remdesivir, and all the kinds of information about the remdesivir is completely available from this FDA document. Maybe you can just go through that for more understanding on the remdesivir. So this is about the dose, duration, and what are the formulations are available, and for whom we are going to give this medication. And coming to the another one, we also need to understand some of the serious side effects of this remdesivir. as we got to know in the previous slides that it is going to be increase the liver enzymes. So that no, we need to keep in mind that we need to evaluate, we need to assess the liver enzymes frequently after giving the remdesivir. So it is going to be increase the liver transaminases. So we should be careful for that. One of the important side effects. It's having many other. It can cause even sometimes renal damage also. So we need to be very careful while giving the medication. And coming to the drug interactions, it is one more important point we need to understand while giving the remdesivir. And also I mentioned previously in the Indian guidelines, they have given very clearly. So due to some antagonism observed in vitro, the concomitant use of remdesivir with chloroquine phosphate or hydroxychloroquine sulfate is not recommended. A very clear point. I've seen the patients who are receiving both the medications together, remdesivir as well as a hydroxychloroquine. I think this is one of the important points we need to consider from this prescribing guideline. And also, as suggested by the Indian government, the hydroxychloroquine is recommended only for the mild cases, mild to moderate cases, and remdesivir recommended for the severe cases. So in that case itself, there's no meaning in combining these two medications. And apart from that, another important point we need to understand is there is a drug-drug interaction identified between the remdesivir as well as the hydroxychloroquine. So certainly we should not go as a combination of these medications for the COVID-19 patients. So I think we can try to avoid giving these two medications together just to avoid the contraindication, the drug-drug interaction. So these are the two, I think, three important points we need to consider in terms of the remdesivir from this prescribing guidelines. And coming to the one more important medication we are using for the COVID-19 patients, especially in India, that is tocilizumab. And when I search for the information about the tocilizumab, very limited information available. It is already indicated for influenza. It is available in the market from longer time, especially in Japan. It is people are using this medication for the influenza. But this medication uses in the COVID-19, very less information is available. The clinical trials are going on. But some information I got it from the Roche, the manufacturing company of this tocilizumab, and the brand name is Actemra. So that's a medication which people are already using for the influenza. And they have given this description. I think there was a query on maybe some of them asked that just to give the information about using this medication for the COVID-19. And that's the reason Ross written this complete document. And in this document, maybe we can clearly understand they itself, they clearly mentioned that this medication, that is Actemra, is not indicated for the treatment of COVID-19 pneumonia. So they mentioned that it is not indicated in the sense, it is not indicated for this condition by any regulatory authority at present. Even though we are using this medication as off-label, but that is not the medication which is indicated for the COVID-19. So we need to understand that. That's one of the important points given in the description given by the Roche. As well as they also mentioned that there are some serious chance of getting some of the serious infections. As I mentioned previously, tocilizumab is an immunosuppressant agent. It is going to be causes some infection. So the person may be immune compromised and the person have a chance of getting the other infections as well. So that's the reason we should be very careful while giving the tocilizumab. So these are the two important points. Maybe we can get it from this particular information given by Roche. So with that, I'm going to complete my presentation. I thought of just explaining to you about some of the important medical management. I'm not touching about other managements. Some of the important aspects about the medical management, especially I would like to highlight some of the guidelines because everyone follow the guidelines, right? Indians, whenever we are treating the patients, we need to certainly follow the guidelines given by the India. Maybe other countries are going to follow the guidelines given by WHO, and US is following the guidelines given by CDC. So like that, certainly we need to follow the guidelines. I thought it may be interesting if I just show you to you some of the important points about the management which are given in the guidelines. So that may be some of the interest for you. And that's why I explained. And thanks once again for all the participants who joined in this session. And thanks once again to the organizers for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Hello. Thank you, sir. Thank Dr. Krishna, sir, for his brilliant presentation on COVID-19 about various medical conditions, medications, and current strategy about COVID-19. Thank you so much for your valuable time for participating in this webinar. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Sir, you would like to say something, sir? Here.
Hello?
You can unmute yourself, sir.
Swami, Surendra, I think Lakshmi, Arya Lakshmi. Swami.
Thank you, Krishna. Well done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Arya Lakshmi. You may invite
Hello?
next speaker because Tony has left because there is no current.
Okay, sir. Now, Surendra, hello? Surendra?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Now you
ma'am.
continue. Now the session is hand over to Surendra. Hello?
Feed your faith and your fear will starve to death. Good morning and warm welcome from AKNU College of Pharmaceutical Sciences to delegates, participants, and student friends. I,
Now the
Surendra,
session is hand over to Surendra. Hello?
Dr. S. Feed your faith, Paramela Krishna, Sir, Associate Professor, Department of Pharmacy, Annamalai University, Tamil Nadu. Dr. Krishna done his B.Pharm, M.Pharm as a specialization in industrial pharmacy and also PhD in Annamalai University. Dr. Krishnan, during his 20 years experience, initially 4 years old, different positions in industry like senior chemist in R&D and manufacturing executive, and remaining 16 years of his career till date, he working as a faculty with 42 PhDs, 42 PG projects and 3 PhDs were guided. Corner of research was 65 research papers published in both national and international journal and 22 papers presented in various conferences. The professional bodies Dr. Krishnan associated with CPCSCA and APGA, Tamil Nadu branch and IPA and APTI registered pharmacists in State Pharmacy Council of Tamil Nadu. Dr. Krishnan is expertise in pharmacoepidemiology, rational use of medicines, and developing of herbal preparations for anti-neoplastic, vast knowledge in formulation of various pharmaceutical dosage forms according to patient compatibility, where doctor give life with medicine, pharmacists give life to medicine. Pharmacist is a frontline warriors in this pandemic along with doctors and nurses, enlightening regarding the pre and post-symptomatic conditions in COVID-19. This session is over to Dr. S. Parimal Krishnan, sir. This session is over to Dr. S. Parimal Krishnan, sir.
Is it audio?
Yes, we are able to hear.
Yes, sir.
Sir, thank you for your introduction, Mr. Sandra. And I convey my professor and well-wisher and everyone, I mean everything for my Guru Prasad Mohana sir, and convey my thanks to the participants and sorry, organizing team and universities authorities. Just for my, can you see my presentation?
Yes, sir, permanent, sir, but you have to slide
Is my
show.
presentation
So the slide is good, but you have to go for slide show. Slide show. A small one.
Okay. Is it fine?
No, sir.
Can you able to see?
Sir, it is not totally visible.
Sir, put slide share, sir. From down, it is third one, sir. Then
Sir,
SPK,
your option is there that is present now.
then go to this present now. First open. First open.
Present now. Yes, I have opened the present now.
No. First open your presentation in a new
Slideshow level.
yes slideshow mode. Put there
Ah,
new window. Okay.
yes, sir.
And now then in the bottom, see there is a
Yes.
present now,
there is third option.
right side.
Yes, sir. I switched on to.
Select present now. Then there
Yes, sir.
the second point is there new window.
Yeah,
Right?
I got it.
So new window, you link to that.
Now, can you able to view my presentation, sir?
No. Yes, now it may come.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it has come.
Yes, sir. It is nice.
Now it has come.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, sorry for so I'm going to just give you a picture about what we know, what we don't know, and what. So in the of my lecture. First, basics of COVID transmission, transmit from one people to other people, and what are the preventions and signs and symptoms of COVID, diagnosis, vulnerable groups, funeral, and community reduction, and water during the use of water during your COVID-19. Going to further in my topic, I just would like to share a video with you about 5 things COVID-19.
Open Zoom.
SPK video is not coming.
So I think network is problem here, sir.
About COVID-19. Thank you so much for your valuable time.
Sir,
Krishnan, sir?
Connection and establish with other. There is
Okay, sir.
some.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm just trying with my another network, sir. I'll come in 1 minute, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so
sir,
much, sir.
okay, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
My presentation is presentation, sir.
Yes,
No.
sir. You're audible, sir, but your presentation is not visible, sir.
Okay.
You're
You're
audible, sir.
Okay. Yes.
It's clear. You're audible.
You go to again slides. Share your
Yes, sir.
presentation.
I'm just trying. I'm just trying.
Sorry for inconvenience.
What happened to SPK?
Krishnan, sir?
He's been unmuted.
He muted the session. Dear delegates, please wait for a while until the network establish.
You call him by phone, here, huh?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You call him by phone, what happened?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah, sir. Is it any problem, sir?
Okay, let him do it, no problem. Let him do it. I think he is ready.
Virata, YouTube
Dear
stream
delegates,
was stopped.
dear delegates, our third speaker will be getting ready in another 5 more minutes until the network reestablishes. Kumaraswamy sir, you please type a
Yeah.
message on YouTube.
Yeah. I just messaged. Sorry for the inconvenience. We will be back in a few minutes. So what was happened?
He was re-establishing his network to another one.
Okay. Then what about the feedback link?
Yeah.
Questions are asking the
So
feedback link.
now I think I can do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay.
I'm sorry. So is it okay, sir? No?
But it's coming.
Hello.
Yes, it is coming. This should be okay.
Okay, I think so. I think is it so my uh, slides? Can you see my slides?
Yes, sir. It is visible. Clear.
But I'm not sure whether my video.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's very clear,
I
sir.
hope
Yes.
both will support. I think so.
Yes.
So okay, let's start, sir.
Please go ahead.
Okay, sir. So once again, I'm sorry for the interruption, and I just start from the beginning.
Guru Prasad sir, please mute yourself. Please mute yourself, Guru Prasad sir. Please mute your phone.
Krishnan sir, unmute the video, sir. Krishnan sir,
Sir.
please unmute the video, sir. Yeah, the video is visible, but it is not audible.
No. With this small piece of introduction about COVID.
Yes, sir.
Now let's see what is novel coronavirus. So it is a novel, means it's a new virus which is not been previously established or identified. So it is called as COVID. I mean, and this virus has been identified in the year of 2019. So it is called as COVID-19. So it's not the same as the coronavirus that commonly circulate among the humans and cause mild illness like common cold. So why is the disease being called coronavirus or disease 2019? Because I mean, in February 2020, the WHO announced the official name for the disease that is causing the 2019 novel virus outbreak pandemic, and this being first identified in Wuhan, as we know, in China. The name of the disease is coronavirus 2019, and which is elaborated as COVID-19. In COVID-19, CO stands for corona, and VI stands for virus, and D stands for disease. And formerly, this disease was referred as 2019 novel coronavirus or 2019 nCoV. And there are many types of human coronavirus, including some that commonly cause upper respiratory tract illness. And COVID-19 is a new disease caused by a novel coronavirus that has not previously been seen in these humans. And let's see how it is getting spread or transmitted. So the coronavirus that causes COVID-19 is thought to spread mainly from person to person, mainly through respiratory droplets produced when the infected person coughs or sneezes or talks. These droplets can land in the mouth or who are nearby or possibly be inhaled into the lungs, and that transmission is or communicable states starts. And likely when people are in close contact with one another, means less than 1 meter or less than 6 feet, then it gets transmitted. So COVID-19 seems to be spreading easily and sustainably in the community in many affected geographic areas. So community spreads mean people have been infected with the virus in an area, including some who are not sure or where they become. That's what we will be seeing on this community spread in the later stages. And can the virus that causes COVID be spread through food, including hotel takeaway or frozen foods? If you see that they are generally thought to be spread from person to person through respiratory droplets. Currently, there is no evidence to support the transmission of COVID-19 associated with the food. And even the people suggest, the researchers and some guidelines suggest that even before preparing the food, one should have hand wash, preferably with soap and water, and they have to practice it for at least 20 minutes. They have to do this hand wash for 20 seconds. Sorry, not 20 minutes. It's 20 seconds. They have to wash. Then they should go for preparing the food, and throughout the day use a tissue to cover your coughing or sneezing, and wash your hands after blowing your nose, coughing or sneezing, and can climate control the pandemic. I mean, we before in the month of April, once we get this COVID, we were talking that since India is going to go for hotter days, but there is no there is no evidence. We don't have evidence that temperature will affect the spread of COVID-19. But some other viruses like those that cause the common cough and cold can spread during the cold climates months, but that does not mean it is possible to become sick with these viruses during other months. And what is community spread? Means community spread means when people have been infected with the viruses, and these people are prone to affect with COVID, coronavirus very easily than the other peoples. And even sometimes people with cancer and very high group or vulnerable group is identified as people with respiratory disease, because as you know, the coronavirus goes into whenever a person infected person coughs or sneezes, the virus droplets goes into an uninfected person, healthy person, and it goes directly to the lungs, and it affects the lungs firstly, primarily. So these are the people with respiratory disease. They are a highly infected, vulnerable group for this COVID virus. And what should people at a higher risk? I mean, so they should, first thing is they should, prevention is the only way for them. And for them, they should have limited interactions with other people. They should as other normal people, and they should take preventions to prevent getting COVID when you do interact with others. If you decide to engage with the public activities, then you should protect yourself by practicing everyday preventive measures like wearing a mask and wearing PPEs, protective, personal protective dressings you have to take, and keep them. Keep these items on your hand and use them when venturing out. Once you are going out, you should have a mask, you should have a tissue papers, and have a sanitizer, alcohol-based sanitizer. Because wherever you go, you cannot expect it, water and soap in that place. So it's better to have a hand sanitizer. And if possible, avoid others who are not wearing a mask, or ask others around you to wear a mask. These are the ways the people can make themselves less open to infected surroundings, and delay visit. If it is necessary, then you go. If it is not necessary, I mean, especially for vulnerable groups. So if they have essential, then only they have to go out, or else they should not go out. And their medicines, and do not change their treatment plan without consulting the doctors. Have at least a 30-day supply of prescription drugs with your hands. And all people with disabilities are higher risk. Yes, they are also having. Most people with disabilities are inherently at a high risk of becoming infected with or high severe illness for COVID-19. So funerals. What about funerals? This is one of our customary in our Indian Indian culture. So once we go for a funeral, what we have to do, we should avoid touching the body. We should not touch the body, and we have to keep a distance. There is currently no known risk. Though there is no known risk, but associated with being in the same room at a funeral, and you should not touch the bodies. And since there is no data, so it's better to always prevent. We should take steps to prevent spreading of infection. And COVID is a new disease, and we are still learning how it spreads. The virus that causes COVID is thought to spread mainly from person to person through respiratory droplets, as we have talked, and we know about how it spreads. So it may be possible that a person can get COVID by touching a surface or object that has the virus on it, and then touching their own mouth or nose or possibly their eyes. This is not thought to be main way spreading a virus. So cleaning and disinfectant. We know already. I told you what is the difference between cleaning and the disinfection. Disinfection. What is routine cleaning? Routine cleaning means whenever we go for routine cleaning is the everyday cleaning, as we do in our home. We clean our house, so that has to be done routinely. And how frequently means if you are in a home, we do very frequently. Every day we do mopping. We do the same way. We have to maintain the same in our office also. So surface frequently touched by multiple things, such as doors, handles, bathroom surfaces, and handrails should be cleaned with soap and water or other detergent at least daily when facilities are used. And more frequent cleaning and disinfections are required based on the level of use. And is cleaning alone effective with the virus that causes? No, cleaning will not not sufficient for eradicate the virus. We need to disinfect the place as we have. I mean, there are many disinfectants available in the. I mean, many disinfectants are as guidelines given in the guidelines. So how should clean and disinfectant community places? Regular cleaning staff can clean and disinfect community spaces. Cleaning staff should be trained on appropriate use of cleaning and disinfection chemicals with personal protective equipment required for chemicals used. And the efficiency of these disinfection methods against the virus that causes COVID-19 is not known. So we should use appropriate methods to stop the spreading of infections, like sonic, ultrasonic waves, high intensity of UV radiation, and LED bulbs can be used to disinfect. Apart from the chemical, wherever we cannot use in all the places we cannot use these disinfectants, chemical disinfectants. Like if you are working in office, you cannot spray a paper which is printed. If you use a disinfectant, everything will vanish off. So we have to in such places we have to use those ways can be used to disinfect the community reduction or right way. If I want to tell community medication, what is community medication? Means it's nothing but reducing the virus in community. So what is community reduction? Activities that are actions that people and communities can take to minimize the spread of infectious disease and prepare for its if including COVID-19. It's not only for COVID-19. For any infection, we need to do this community reduction, and community reduction is especially important before a vaccine becomes widespread. Proper treatment, proper vaccination. So we talk about COVID community reduction. And we give maximum importance for this community to avoid or to minimize the further spread of this community reduction plans. So as we know, the first thing is we can take into two kinds. One is for individuals. So individuals have as an individual we can wash our hands, avoid close contact, and practice the social distancing and covering mouth, the nose, and avoid touching eyes. Covering, while you are sneezing, you should sneeze at the flexi of your elbows, and cleaning and disinfectant frequently touch the surface daily. For this, for individual, we can for communities. For communities, to promote behaviors and prevent spread, maintaining the healthy environments, maintaining the healthy operations, preparing for when someone gets sick, and making lockdowns as our government. Now we are under lockdown. These are the ways to prevent the spreading of further spreading of infections. So who is involved in the reductions? It's not only the government. Everyone, every individual has to take part in reducing the community spreading. So water, important part, because without water we cannot survive. So can virus like COVID can transmit through drinking water? The evidence so far that the virus can COVID-19 has can transmit through water. But even then, if you take treated waters, they will be very safe. That's all. But we don't have that virus can transmit through water. Is the virus that cause the COVID identified diseases? Again, we don't have a data that through the diseases can virus can spread. So can the virus that causes COVID transmit via swimming pools? And the same thing. I mean, we don't have these situations, but it's better to sanitize and use sorry, not sanitize, they infect and use the these places, especially we as we Indians going to swimming pool is very less, but we go saloons and spas very frequently, and children go for a playground. So in that place, if possible, you stop or prevent the children to going in a water clogged playgrounds, and while you are going for a saloons, you try to insist the barbers to use disinfectants and then for individuals. So there is no data, so it is better to avoid. We don't have evidence. So whether can the virus transmit via sewage water? Yes. Again, we don't have. We have very little data on this, and that they say those. I mean, the result shows that possibility of COVID virus in the sewage water. And can we use tap water and to wash our hands and filter water for drinking? Yes, we should use tap water for for washing our hands, because we are going to use soap, and we are going to wash our hands. And for drinking, as I said, in the same slide, first point, we use we use treated water is going to be a safe, and we also can prevent further spreading of the COVID-19, and we can save. I mean, not COVID-19, we can spread the virus, coronavirus. So as a conclusion, again, a small video clipping from the WHO. So with this, I conclude my lecture, and I say thanks for your patient listening, and I hand over mic to the organizer, Surendra Babu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for being with us and for your valuable content delivered, sir. Any queries with this session can directly pin to us and we will forward to our speakers, and e-certificates will issue to your register email in a couple of hours.
Harmal Krishnan, sir, your presentation drew the audience with all the photographs and videos. It was very good, sir. And we thoroughly enjoyed and benefited with your effective presentation. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
And I just convey my initial stage. I found a lot of disturbance with my network. I'm sorry, really, I'm sorry.
That's not a problem, sir. You continue. And over to Mrs. Adi Lakshmi.
Hello.
Madam, yes.
It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our beloved Professor Battu Gangarao Garu, Registrar of Adikavi Nannaya University, Rajahmundry. He is an eminent professor.
No need.
Hello.
No need. You can straight away you can.
Okay, sir. Now I welcoming Professor Gangarao sir for concluding remarks.
See, we senior teachers know about sir, but many of the teachers people don't know. So it is necessary. Let's please.
Okay, sir. I will continue. Okay, sir. Hello.
Yes, madam.
It's a very great privilege to introduce our beloved Professor Gangarao sir, Registrar of Adikavi Nannaya University, Rajahmundry. He is an eminent professor, skillful, concealed through various contributions like handling UGC projects, conducting various national and international conferences, and guiding students in the field of pharmacy for the past 30 years. So, I welcoming Gangarao sir for concluding remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Professor M. Jagannatharao Garu, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Adikavi Nannaya University, who has given introductory opening remarks about the seminar, and he has well spoken about the disease, and he has mentioned about the early treatments about the COVID, that hydroxychloroquine and along with azithromycin, and these are primitive, actual primitive at that time. And later on, when it is going on, the COVID is prevailing very fastly. Previously, World Health Organization mentioned that it is a weight, having weight virus. It has some weight virus, and it cannot move in the air. Only surfaces it will be available in the surfaces. Later on, again, recently 2 or 3 weeks back, and it became airborne disease, like you can float in the air. It can float in the air. So that means maybe virus may be some, because of the mutations, going on mutations, the weight may be reduced for the virus. Might be, I don't know, reduced and became a airborne disease. At this time also, we have to take good precautions for this. And as you said, and when it is found in the, usually March first week, though it is spreading in America, Canada, Spain, France, and China. Late February, it came to the India, and at that time we did not feel it is severe because in the cold countries only it will be prevailed. Cold countries, in the hot countries like India, tropical countries in India, it may not be spread. Like that we thought previously, and somewhat some ignorance was there at that time. Not now, it is very severe in this condition. Previously, we used to say that some immunoboosters like lemon, ascorbic acid, like and vitamin C tablets. So this type of treatments to boost the immunity suggested at that time. Now it is very clear that it is very severe condition. It is in very severe condition. At this moment, our keynote addressee, Professor Guru Prasad Mahanta, is age-old friend to me. Maybe 2 or 3 decades, we used to go to some foreign countries for the FIP conferences. I remember that in Australia we were there, in Netherlands we were there, and many meetings in the in India, many meetings, because our interest is herbal drugs and also the formulations. His main interest is in the practice of the pharmacy, practice of pharma D course. He used to conduct pharma D course. Very a patient to pharmacist to patient. Patient to doctor or patient to nurse, like that. The triangle situation he developed, and once myself and sir, we went to KLA University for the inspection, PCI inspection, pharmacy, and there we found there some Rangasarya Ramasari, professor, is also well known unknown pharmacist is also unknown pharmacist. Like that, we had the interaction with this Professor Guru Prasad Mahanta sir, and he has given overall strategy of the overall scenario of the manufacturing of the some antiviral drugs like remdesivir and some of the so like that drug those we are using, and those cannot be used also, he has mentioned. And also next Krishna, the Vindela Krishna sir, and he also so much precautions he has given while using this type of, and what country and how the World Health Organization or how the CDC, Central Drug Control, to COVID control, and also NIH, National Institute of Health, like the born by America. How the US FDA are giving approvals for this, he explained so well. And later on, Parimala Krishnan sir, and when we visited this Namala University, one of the professors, pharmaceutics professor, Parker Manna, I think PK Manna, and another, we were there and met him also there. And he is also given very precautionary methods for prevention of the diseases. And now I would like to mention there are some natural drugs. Recently, how China is, firstly China is attacked by the COVID, and then they have treated with the TCM, Chinese traditional Chinese medicine, that is called Ipencan. That is one of the medicines they have developed for the COVID. Slowly, the disease has been controlled slowly. After some time, 3 months later, after some time, again it is regenerating, I think inflaring, I don't know. And that type of natural drug they have used. And recently I have seen Canada, they have used another medicine, that is Nicotiana banthalum. It is one of the, tobacco type of drug from the Canada. They have used it for the isolation of this virus, like virus. COVID virus like mutant is there in that plant. They are isolating and testing on that. They are trying to test on that to develop the vaccine. They are doing that. And if you see in our natural product scenario, and hydroquin containing source of natural products, I have seen some Oroxylum indicum. Oroxylum indicum, it's having some hydrochloroquine and chloroquine source of drugs, cinchona. Cinchona may be derived, hydroquinone may be derived through cinchona, chlorine, chloroquine like that. And this drug also available through the Oroxylum indica, that is in Telugu, Pampena Chettu in Telugu. So this type of things are also available, but the research has to be focused through the natural products as well as synthetic products. By giving, I have seen some of the USA-based company Moderna, they are developing vaccine, and they are saying that the first phase 1 trial is over with 45 healthy volunteers, and phase 2 trial is also over with 180 healthy volunteers. Now they are going for phase 3 trials. That is about 30,000 people. They are segregating into different groups, and one group giving placebo, the other group giving a number of doses of 1 or 2 doses to compare the placebo. Like that, this type of and you could see the Glasgow Smith Clam Beacon. They are also preparing vaccines. Okay, and how it will be materialized, we don't know, but the thing is they are on the way to develop the vaccines. All are on the way to develop the vaccines. And also latestly, and biotech, Bharat Biotech also we have heard, but how it is coming, we don't know. But at this moment we are hoping for the getting vaccines. Otherwise it is very spreadable disease, and we are very much in dangerous situations all of throughout world, in the world, in the dangerous situation. We are in this context. The pharmacists have to take the lead to develop some vaccines or some medicines. So this is very important, and emergency also. With this, and also I would like to address uh, our colleagues, Adhikavan Anna University colleagues, like all principals and EC members, those who have joined here, and all the participants, those who have joined in this. On behalf of the Adhikavan Anna University, I am welcoming all the people. I am thank all the people for success of this great meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I thank Professor Gangarao Garu for his informative and valuable information and suggestions about the current strategies of COVID-19. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you so much for the support for organizing this webinar and encouragement for this webinar. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of Adikavi Nannaya University College of Pharmaceutical Sciences, I must mention our deep sense of gratitude and appreciation for the keynote speaker, Professor Guru Prasad Mohantagaru, and speakers Dr. Parimal Krishnan and Krishna Undela for their tremendous and effective presentation and making the session interesting and meaningful. Now, I request Dr. Surendra to propose the vote of thanks.
I convey my best wishes to Honorable Chief Guest Guru Prasad Mohanta sir for nice content delivered on clinical trials and bioinformatics tools searching for better cure of COVID-19. The speaker emphasized on therapies and drug interactions and diagnosis in this webinar of pharmaceutical scenario in COVID-19 for your gracing your crucial time and sharing with us. If your action inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, and you are a leader, a special thanks to our respected Vice Chancellor, Professor M. Jagannatha Rao, sir, beloved Registrar, Special Officer from Tadepalligudem campus, Professor B. Gangarao sir, who stood back of us for their continuous support for budding of this course in this university. First but not least, thanks to more than 1,000 participants who are connected in YouTube and Google Meet, and delegates and the technical team, and my dear fellow colleagues for being with us and made this webinar as a grand success. Thank you one and all.
Unmute. If you talk, unmute.
I convey my best wishes to Honorable Chief Guest Guru Prasad Mohanta sir for delivering the content on clinical trials, bioinformatics tools, searching for better cure on COVID-19. The speaker's emphasis on the therapy and the drug interactions, safety, diagnosis in this webinar of pharmaceutical scenario in COVID-19 era for gracing your crucial time and sharing with us. And your action inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, become more, and you are the leader. A special thanks to our respected Vice Chancellor, Professor M. Jagannathan, beloved Registrar and Special Officer from Tadepalligudem campus, Professor B. Gangarao sir, who stood back of us for their continuous support for budding of this course in this university. First but not least, thanks to more than 1,000 participants who connected in YouTube link and Google Meet, delegates and technical team, and my dear fellow colleagues for being with us and made this webinar as a grand success.
Okay, thank you, Surendra. I thank everyone, the participant delegates and speakers. I thank everyone with the saying, all is well when it ends well. Thank you so much.
So, thank you so much, speaker. Thank you.